Hello everybody. Welcome again to one of these set of interviews that we're having lately. Today we are with Danielle Leineman, who is American, but living in sunny Seville, if that's correct. And Danielle is going to talk to us a little bit about healthy eating and healthy habits and how to go meat-free. So Danielle, well, first of all, thank you very much for taking your time and being with us. It's a pleasure. Whereabouts in the States are you from?
I'm from Philadelphia.
Okay, nice. Very different from Seville then.
Yes, another world.
Brilliant. And how long have you been living in Seville?
For 10 months.
Okay, so not too long. How do you find it?
It's lovely. It's a great place to be. Like you said, very sunny, very pleasant. People are very nice. The food is good. Very pet friendly. I have a dog, so
excellent.
Very nice place to be. Yeah.
Good. You look very happy to be there then.
Yeah.
So Danielle, tell us a little bit, what exactly is veganism and what is the difference between a vegan diet and a vegetarian diet?
Okay, so a vegan is someone who abstains from all animal products. And I would say there's a spectrum of it because there are people who identify as vegans, but they just do so through their diet. And then there are people who are vegans who, through other parts of their lifestyle, abstain from animal products. So I would say there's a range in strictness of how they approach it. But I try to be, personally, I'm vegan. And I try to abstain from all food products, but you'd be surprised how many other animal products are in shampoos or other household products or personal care products. And a vegan is someone who, a vegetarian is someone who doesn't eat meat. So they would still have eggs and dairy and other animal products aside from meat.
That's very surprising, isn't it? I think we're not totally aware of what ingredients we have in certain things, and it's very surprising that you said that in like hair products and stuff.
Yeah.
And Danielle, when did you start to become when did you become a vegan, and why did you decide to do so?
So I have been vegetarian now for around 8 years, and I've been on and off vegan for the past, let's say, 2 or 3 years. I would say that in the US and Philadelphia in particular, it's much easier to be vegan because there's a greater market for products there. So I now live in Spain, and before I lived here, I lived in Morocco. So I've had to adapt myself a bit to the culture and what's available. And so I haven't been completely consistent, to be honest. There's also another word called flexitarian, where you're kind of flexible. So I try to be flexible, but at my core, what I really value and what I believe in is a vegan diet. But I've been strictly vegan now in Seville for the past, let's say, 5 months. Okay. And vegetarian for around 8 years.
So it's a long time then.
Yes.
And obviously, well, I can imagine that in Morocco it's not very easy to find products that don't come from animals. So if we were to check out your shopping basket, what kind of food or what kind of products would we find?
So I try to eat lots of whole foods, plant-based foods. So lots of fruits and vegetables, beans and nuts and different grains. I love all different kinds of vegetables, but some of my favorites are tomatoes, which are really good here in Spain, and tomatoes, broccoli, peppers, mushrooms. Mushrooms are really great for you, so I love eating mushrooms. And then fruits like strawberries here in season, so I'm eating lots of strawberries. And beans, I like all different kinds of beans. So chickpeas, here they're called lubia beans, white beans in English.
Yeah, yeah.
Black beans for Mexican dishes. So a real mix of all different kinds of beans and fruits, vegetables, and nuts.
So some people would say that it might be a rather restrictive diet. How creative, let's say, how creative do you need to be when it comes to cooking? You know, if you have certain ingredients only.
Well, to be honest, I, through the internet, have stolen the creativity of lots of other creative people out there in the world who have created vegan options through very ordinary items that you can easily find at the grocery store. So for example, cashews. I will always have cashews in my grocery basket without a doubt, because with cashews, you can create any type of pretty much like a cream base. So if you want like a spinach and artichoke dip, which is a popular dip at home for us, we're really dip oriented. We love dips. So if you want to make a spinach and artichoke dip, you can soak cashews and blend them. And you add like a bit of mustard, a bit of nutritional yeast, which you can find at any health food store. And I think salt and maybe a couple other spices, and you create like a vegan cheese. So
yummy.
For example, I mean, that's not something really processed. It's not something, you know, that you have to find in a very, you know, in a very hard store to find, or it's accessible. So I use that a lot as an alternative to dairy.
That sounds very yummy.
Yeah, it's really good. I've become famous for it here. I bring it to every event, every party, to yoga. I go to yoga in the park and have picnics after, and a language exchange. All my language exchange buddies know about my spinach and artichoke dip, so it's become
cool.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I think I got an idea for tonight's dinner then.
There you go.
And Danielle, have you noticed any change in your body or in your health since you become, especially since you become a vegan? Because I know that you were a vegetarian before, but since you become a vegan, have you noticed any difference at all?
Definitely. So growing up, I had kind of struggled with my weight. It always fluctuated and I felt very sensitive. So if I had a few bad weeks or a few really good weeks, my body would change, you know? So now if I'm eating a plant-based diet with lots of whole foods, I eat when I'm hungry, and I feel like my cravings and my body just knows what it wants. It's like more in touch with what we are actually designed to eat. So I feel like my weight is not as, what's the word? Like it doesn't change, fluctuate. It doesn't fluctuate as often. And for me, that's good because I don't have to be like so careful in a way, because I know that what I'm eating is good food.
Brilliant. And what about in terms of energy? Did you feel any difference? Like, do you have more energy or the same?
Yes, I was always tired, and now I feel a lot lighter. I feel like, you know, I don't suffer as much with my stomach or tiredness, or I feel like my skin improved a lot from cutting out dairy. Dairy is a big problem for a lot of people, more than eggs or other things, just because dairy is designed to feed a baby cow to grow into an adult cow. Like we are the only animals on earth that are drinking the breast milk of another animal. So really that's why there's so much lactose intolerance and things like that. And I think that just recognizing the connection, like maybe before you had symptoms of something, but you couldn't make the connection of where it was coming from. So I think that for me, like not having dairy makes a really big difference in my skin, in my energy, in my mood, everything.
And when you started, did you went all the way? So one day you decided, okay, I'm going to be a vegan and this is it? Or did you go slowly, like bit by bit?
I think if you would like to try veganism, I think it's really hard to do it slowly, especially if you're already vegetarian, because I went from vegetarian to vegan. So I think if you're starting with a conventional diet, the most common diet, eating everything like an omnivore, you maybe would start slowly and progress. But for me, if I'm vegetarian and I want to become vegan, if I'm not fully becoming vegan, I'm just a vegetarian. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so for someone who, you know, might be interested in something like this, or at least to be a bit healthier, but is concerned about, you know, the restrictions and not having any meat at all in the diet, what would you say to them? What would be your recommendation, your advice?
So I have a few points that I would recommend. So first would be to educate yourself about food. Read about food, learn about food, some great books to learn through, ones that I love. One that I love in particular is called The China Study. It's one of the most comprehensive studies of human health that ever. It was done in China, and it was over the span of 30 years, and it measured the connection between diet and disease in different regions of China. So, you know, the cities versus the countryside, and over such a large span of time that like the data is really, you know, solid data. So read books, read or watch documentaries. I watch a lot of documentaries on Netflix. I think that was the real turning point, is watching like Forks Over Knives, Food Inc. I can't remember all of them, but there are several. I think once you search for one, you'll find other recommendations of similar ones. But Forks Over Knives is great. So yeah, read up on it and understand if you have the motivation to do it, because the best way for you to experiment with this is to understand if you agree with it. Because if you're doing it, but you're just doing it because it's a trend, or you're doing it because you want to lose weight quickly, it won't be sustainable. So the way that you can have real motivation to make a whole lifestyle change is understand if you really believe that it is truly healthier for you. So I would say research first. Then once you've done your research and you feel like your ideas are aligned with it, I would give it a go, like give it a shot, and maybe set a particular amount of days, like 21 days they say it takes to make a habit. So maybe just give yourself 21 days, say, I want to try this out fully, and go for it. And during this time period, I think it's really important to try new foods and be creative and experiment and try things that you've never had before that are plant-based, so that you don't feel that restricted feeling, so that you don't feel like you're missing out.
That's a good point.
And I would say lastly, like share it with people, like find a community to go through this experience with, so that, well, you have someone to hold you accountable, but also you have support, and maybe you'll have other friends who will want to go and try that vegan restaurant with you, or, you know, be open to supporting you in this journey of exploration.
Great tips there. Yeah, thank you very much. It makes me actually want to try now.
Well, it's really, I mean, there's no hurt in trying things. It's not forever. And I've had a really good experience. And I think beyond my body, I think the thing that I love about this change in my life is my heightened awareness and consciousness, and the recognition that food is something that's sort of sacred, and it makes up who we are. So to leave it as something that's just that you throw to the side, or that's not that important, I mean, I think it's the most important thing in the world. It fuels us every day to do the other things that we do in our lives. So for me, food is super important, and it's definitely worth the time and effort to learn about and to see how you can change other aspects of your life through food.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Thank you very much, Danielle. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
for all the advice and all the information that you've shared with us.
Sure.
It's been a pleasure.
You too. Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you.